may be in danger of losing his point guard. Not himself, another point guard, Rajon Rondo. But here's the headline. The Clippers reportedly expected to pursue Rondo in free agency. He'd certainly had some championship pedigree that perhaps the Clippers were missing this season. So Chris Broussard is joining us now. Chris, a two-parter. First, would Rondo be a good fit with the Clippers? And how do they then derail the Lakers from repeating again next season?
Jenna, he'd be a great fit. We know there's two things that the Clippers were lacking this year: leadership in the locker room, and Rondo's got the respect of everyone around the league. He's obviously got 2 rings. He's played with superstars better than Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Never been afraid to speak his mind and say what needs to be said in the locker room. So he'd help in that regard. And then the floor general. Remember what Kawhi Leonard said after they lost to Denver? We need to improve our basketball IQ. That was code for saying, get me a point guard, all right, who can run an offense, get us in our sets, get us where we need to go. Look at their roster: Pat Beverly, Landry Shamet. Neither of them is a real playmaking point guard, which is what the Clippers could use. So as far as derailing the Lakers, I mean, obviously it would help if LeBron started acting his age, which will be 36 next season, because the Lakers are going to be better. Anthony Davis is going to be better with the confidence of a champion. However, there are things the Clippers can do. One, attitude adjustment. All right, I talked about it ad nauseum during the playoffs. They had a sense of entitlement. We're the champions. You know, stop all that. They should be humbled and motivated to come back and play their best basketball. 2, Kawhi Leonard has to get rid of the load management. I mean, like, he has to commit to playing a full season of games, unless he absolutely can't. If he has to sit out, fine. Otherwise, he should be targeting 75 games this season, you know, of an 82-game season or whatever they end up playing. And then 3, I mentioned the floor general. And 4, get some size to back up Ivica Zubac. I think, you know, Nerlens Noel, who can block shots, Aaron Baines, who is a big physical body but can step out and shoot the 3. Those are the things. I know they're not great, but they don't need, you know, they're not going to get a superstar. But those are backup centers that they could help them.
Okay. First, let me address the Rondo part of this. I'm not mocking you. I'm mocking the Clippers. But I want to give the Clippers a compliment right now. This Rondo
this
story.
Should be a compliment.
This is so adorable. This is like when you've got a little brother and a big brother with a big age gap, and the little brother walks downstairs wearing the big brother's clothes, and the shoes are too big and the jacket's too big, and he's like, "Hi, everybody." And it's like, "Oh, look at who you're trying to be. Oh, you see him do it, and you're like, we can do it too." No, you can't. So, yeah, the Clippers do need an upgrade at point guard. And by the way, I've got a $1,000 bounty for the first person that gets Patrick Beverly on the record talking about this, because I would love to hear a Patrick Beverly who refused to look LeBron James in the eye at Vegas and shake his hand, told Steph Curry, "This is my league for the next 5 years," how Patrick Beverly feels about them potentially bringing in Rondo and shipping him to Charlotte or wherever he would end up being, how that's landing with Beverly, because he's always been a very calm, cool, and collected, level-headed fellow. But Broussard's right. The Clippers need leadership and playmaking because their best player provides none of either. But what they really need is big people. Because real quick, the league got big on them. Look around. Who you got to beat to win a championship? You got to beat the Lakers, who have the 2 best post scorers in basketball. You might have to go through the Nuggets, who've got maybe the best all-around true center in basketball. If the Bucks get it together, you're going to have to go through Giannis, who lives at the rim. And by the way, all of a sudden, and I know it's probably slim, if Daryl Morey can remake the Sixers, Joel Embiid's there. So a team that totally neglected size, Brandon, needs size more than they need anything. And Rondo, as good as he was in the playoffs, ain't giving you size. So yeah, this would be a nice move for them. It would provide some of the gaps that are there because Kawhi's their best guy, but it wouldn't change the math on Lakers Clippers. They got to worry about getting through the Nuggets first.
I totally disagree with you, Nick.
100% disagree with you. You got to understand that their problem had nothing to do with on the court. It had everything to do with what Chris laid out. Leadership, number one, continuity and chemistry in the locker room. And it's not just bringing in Rondo just for leadership. It's his style of leadership. He's the type of guy that will hold people accountable. He's the type of guy that will get in your face. He's Ty Lue. That's who Rondo is, and that's what they need, because you are right. Kawhi's not going to give you that. But you're wrong when you talk about playmaking ability. Please, he's just been Mr. Consistent the last 5 years. So I don't want to hear that. So when you think about the makeup of this team, the thing that derailed them had nothing to do with the court. It had everything to do with the chemistry in the locker room. And I believe it's because of their philosophy and guys not buying in. Kawhi's not going to change. Kawhi is who he is. So this whole thing, Chris, about, well, he needs to drop load management. No, that's who he is. So if that's what they're going to do, if they're going to be a team that says, you know what, load management is something that we're going to embrace. Practice privileges for our star players is something we're going to embrace. Every single guy in that locker room that's not a superstar need to understand that, embrace it. Because what happened this year was guys chirping and not buying into the system. And that's what derailed this team. They're not far off. You insert Rondo, you get that chemistry right. They're easily one of the, you can say they're easily the best team in the NBA.
Well, okay, that was you brought it right there to the goal line and then fumbled it. That was yes. A little DK Metcalf, Buda Baker right there. That was very close, very close. Broussard,
no, it's not close. Before you go, Wiles. Before you go. Come on, that's what we were talking about before the season. That's what we were saying, that they're the best team in the NBA.
They're not the best team in their own building, and they are not the best team. They're not the third best team in California. I don't think they got it. Broussard, here's the funny thing about Kawhi that nobody can figure out, because we don't have he's not an open book. We've seen him thrive with Tony Parker. We've seen him thrive with Kyle Lowry. Rondo is a different dude. Rondo is a leader, but he doesn't lead like Tony Parker, which was like the whole Spurs organization. Kyle Lowry and Kawhi developed like a real relationship. I'm not saying Rondo is cold, but Rondo has a little bit of like a sniper's mentality. Like, there's a certain mental toughness that you need to play with Rondo that I don't know if Paul George and Kawhi have. I'm not saying Rondo wouldn't fit. I'm saying he wouldn't just come in and be this like kumbaya guy, like, hey, everybody, it's me, Rondo. Yeah. Let's go out to lunch. I don't think it's that type of leadership, and I actually think that's the type of leadership that they need. They need more of like a hugger and not kind of like a stern dad.
No, I do think they need some sternness. I think Brandon is right, and I think Kawhi is definitely mentally tough enough to play with Rondo. And Paul George has got to man up and get a little bit tougher, and I think he can as well as your second best player. Not your first best player, but your second best player.
I just have a very, very quick question. Bless you, Jenna, for Broussard. Very quick.
Of course I would.
Why would Rondo want to do this? Why would, unless the money is drastically different, why would he want to leave the Lakers for the Clippers? Why?
It's going to be money, number one. I think he'll go to the highest bidder. Number two, he can stay in L.A. And look, Rondo's a guy, what if he went to the Clippers and they won a championship, which is possible? Then he'd have been on 3 championship teams. That boosts his legacy and his Hall of Fame. It boosts his Hall of Fame credentials if he's close.
And his pockets.
Oh, he's in, Broussard.
All right, let's move along. Time for a little drawing a blank now.
Really?
The Sixers making a splash yesterday, reportedly nearing a deal with former Rockets GM Daryl Morey to be their president of basketball operations. Is it time for small ball in Philly? Embiid's out there somewhere smirking. All right, Broussard, Sixers hiring Daryl Morey should have Embiid and Simmons feeling blank.
Shaky. I know Daryl's plan is not to come in right away and trade those guys, but he has shown that if it's not working, he will move on from big names. He traded Chris Paul 2 years after giving him this huge contract. So these dudes need to produce, and they should be on edge.
All right, we're going to have much more on this topic coming up, but back to the NFL now.